Hey guys, welcome to episode 1 of The Last Word, a brand new Shadowverse Evolve podcast. I'm your host Bima, joined today with EveAzn.
Hey everyone.
Some of you might know me already. I've topped the yearly leaderboard for the CO region several times in the Shadowverse digital card game, and I also came 10th in the 2021 World Championships. In addition, I now play Shadowverse Evolve, and I attended the World Championship last year as well. EveAzn is a story competitor in a number of different card games, and he was also an Australian representative in the Shadowverse Evolve World Championships in the previous year. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, like Bima said, I attended the World Championships for Shadowverse last year, and across some other card games as well. I attended Worlds 4. On top of that, I'm a competitive fighting game player and a very retired Dota player.
Yeah, so both of us are definitely Australian. We might bring on some guests from other countries in the future, but it'll be a very uniquely Australian take. So we'll go through a number of topics today. One of them will actually be on the World Championships, so we'll go through some of our experiences. But maybe let's start with a pretty relevant topic to everyone, on the BP04 expansion. So kind of our thoughts on the meta. I'll go first. So what we're going to cover is probably like the best decks, that we've seen, what's doing well with the locals, what's kind of surprising, and also kind of the price of the cards in the expansion. So I think what I'll start off with is the best decks, in my opinion. If you had a look at the tier list on the website, that's pretty much all of my opinion or what I thought would be the best decks at the start of the format. To be honest, I think the deck which I think is like not as good as I thought it was originally is maybe Egghaven. It's a little bit more abusable than I thought. It's got a big target in its head, and I think it's a little bit reliant on hitting specific combos versus certain decks. Like if you're not hitting Andromeda with Egghaven kind of early, it can be difficult to kind of claw back the game. They might be able to force you to discard your hand before you're ready or before you set up. So it's probably not quite as good, but I think it's definitely still one of the best decks in meta. What do you think about that?
I completely agree with your take. I feel like Egghaven, although we know it's a strong deck, but because everyone going into this set, everyone has started drafting around it, so kind of feels like it may be a tier low or half a tier low just because everyone's hate drafting against it.
Mm-hmm. And then the other deck which I thought was extremely good was Midrange Forest. Now that one, I don't think I was mistaken in putting it as one of the best decks of the format. I think it's definitely still tier 1. My reasoning is basically that it can play a variety of different playstyles. It's very difficult to shut down the OTK from King Elephant, and it has the ability to kind of control the board early. It has a good matchup or a decent matchup against everything in the format. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so with the Forestcraft deck at the moment, I agree. I do think it's the best deck. I also think it's the scariest deck in the fact that it can hold the largest smoke screen over your opponents, whereas we know the end game is Elephant and maybe a Silver Bolt. The mid game cards and the early game cards could be structured in any forms of way to get there. So when you're sitting against your opponent, it's very hard to calculate what they're going to. It's very hard to anticipate what they're going to play because there's so many good ways for them to get to their win condition.
And it's kind of hard to hold 4 play points open to like remove the elephant as well. So I think it's a deck that really tests like player skill as well. So some people might like see a lot of success, and other people might struggle a bit. And you get in kind of what you like, the amount of practice you put in, essentially.
Yeah, agreed.
What are the other decks that you think are like pretty strong right now? Like, what else is doing well in the meta?
I still personally believe Discard Dragon is tier 1, but that's just based off my own experience with it. It could just be that everyone I play against always draws Dragon Oracle. I think that card. I think Discard Dragon is undervalued just because a lot of people are playing it not because it's not strong, but because it's so boring. Because it's the exact. It hasn't changed since they got the Uma cards, which is like Rico and Book a Recap.
Yeah, I was having a look at some of the tournament tops, like internationally, I guess, and Discard Dragon with like absolutely no changes. I think like you don't even need to run any set 4 cards. And I've seen that like top or win like a few store champs. So definitely still good. I reckon we're in the honeymoon phase right now, where everyone wants to play like the new decks. And then I think like once we roll down to like kind of the BSF season, we'll see a bunch of people just kind of run exactly the same deck. That said, like, I do think, like, you can also play, like, the more creative builds. So they did get some support with, like, Star Phoenix and the Dragon Use Fist. So, like, that's a completely different, like, way of playing it. But yeah, I think Discard Dragon is probably a little bit underrepresented right now. I might have to move it up depending on how it performs, in BSF tournaments. What are your thoughts on Hero Sword, by the way?
Still as disgusting as it was in the last set. It pretty much has a 50-50 matchup against every deck in the format, even rogue decks. Even really bad decks, it can just lose because it can just brick itself.
If people have been following the Shadowverse Evolve Master Twitter, so I put out some pretty funny like memes around like heroic entry and stuff. And that did come off the back of basically me having the worst run of luck like possible, right? So I think over like the course of one weekend, I was just spamming Hero Sword that weekend. And I think I played 12 games in a row, and like not even in a single one of those games did I get heroic entry into Machknight before turn 6. Like, it was to the point where like people were like actually like tracking it, and they were like, 90% of gamblers quit before they hit. You're bound to hit now, like you're due, etc. And then like I just kept missing. I was like you could imagine speaking to like other sword mains. You'd be like, oh yeah, what do you think of the the sword matchup against like Dragon, or like does Hero Sword beat X or Y deck? And then I just say, oh no, I keep losing that matchup. And it's like, oh no, but it's easy. You just get heroic entry on turn 3 and you get the 5/5 Storm. And like, what 5/5 Storm? Are we playing the same deck? And like, we were joking that like potentially people would just be like, wait, you're not playing the same deck, bro. And I'm like, I agree. But yeah, I think the deck is still good. We got a few strong cards as well. I think Flail Knight is like an insanely good 2-drop. I think it might be like one of the best 2-drops in the entire game, like for the aggro game plan. For people that don't know what that does, it's a 2/3, 2 mana. And when it attacks, it can ping follower and then leader for 1 damage. But because of the way that the deck like kind of functions, right? You play 2/2, you swing, and then like you play the 2/3, and they might evolve like a 3/3 of your 2/2. But then because like you've got a 2/3 that can ping their follower, you can just keep going face, and they can never get a value trade on you. And like 3 defense is like actually really high, and it's one of your only outs to like Elf Child May as well, like preventing them from like playing on turn 1, which is actually no, it doesn't stop them, but like basically it's really good at like pinging off random followers, like yeah. And then Armored Stars as well. Basically, if you play that card in the mid game against Varun, they like pretty much just lose in the spawn. So I mean, I think the deck's definitely good. I think it's possibly, if not the best aggro deck, I think Aggro Abyss is pretty good too, but it's definitely one of the top 2 aggro decks. I think it's definitely at least tier 2 still. In my personal experience, not tier 1 because I can't hit heroic entry, but I think if you can hit it, it's probably the best aggro deck still.
On someone else's tier list, it could definitely be tier 1, and you couldn't argue against it just based on their own experience, right?
Yeah, I remember some guy was like saying like Hero Sword's the best deck of the format, and I'm just like, it depends on who you ask. Yeah, and I think Abyss is pretty good too. Like all the builds I've seen have like seemed pretty playable to me, like aggro, control, Ektar. Yeah, I mean,
especially with Goblin Princess now added to the package.
Yeah, that card is like ridiculous in take 8, sorry. Which we'll get into in a bit, but like the fact that the card is a 6/6, and then it basically like gets you a 2/2 for free, like Jesus. Yeah, it's really strong. Alright, any surprising decks in the format that you've seen that have done well? Or
surprising, I think I'm just having a quick look through your tier list right now, and I pretty much agree with most of it. Yeah, Aggro Abyss and Hero Sword, I put them in the same tier. I think Control Abyss could creep its way up. Like we're talking about the Necrocharge one with Ektar at the end.
Yeah,
I feel like that has potential. I've been playtesting with that these last couple of days, so we'll see how we get with that. And I still feel like Uma is still a strong contender for this set. Definitely sitting between tier 1 or 2, just because it has so many options that you can really like craft your deck around the meta with the amount of options that it has.
Yeah, I think Uma is a little bit slept on right now. It's very good against Elephant, I think, in particular. because like they still can't add the dialogue content 5, and plus you can run the 4 mana spell like the execution, and like you just need to leave 2 play points open to seal away like King Elephant. So
Or one. If you have Daiwa on the field.
Yeah, if you have Daiwa on the field, it's 1 mana, right? And like they obviously can't play King Elephant without like and a removal spell on the same turn. So yeah, I think definitely Uma is still good, but it's kind of bad against Egghaven in particular.
But then the fact that it's in a triangle format will keep it relevant for this format at least.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see because the only competitive tournaments we're really going to see is BSF, which is a 3v3 meta. So I just wonder, like, you know, in a format where you're likely to see Egghaven in every game, like, would you really want to bring it, like, you know, Uma? But like, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Okay, I think the surprising deck for me is PDK. I saw one player at my locals win like 3 tournaments in a row. It's just really good against Egghaven, from what I can tell. Like Draconia like shoots a 4/4, which is kind of ridiculous.
Is it sorry to cut you in, but is it pure PDK or PDK discard?
Pure PDK. Like it's just like aggro essentially.
With followers and not amulets?
Yeah, just with followers, yeah.
Yep.
And then like I've seen a few other builds PDK as well, like the one where you like ramp and then you play the Jabberwock and then you get Genesis Dragon. That build's really fun. That build's pretty fun. But yeah, I think PDK is pretty good. It's interesting though. Like it'll depend on your meta. I think I played the Hero Sword matchup against that, and like I think I won like all but one game with Hero Sword. So maybe it's just like really good against like controllish decks and just bad against like Hero Sword, which can actually compete.
Because you have to get through the their 2 evolve followers, right? The Draconia and the Dragon Warrior. It's really hard for Hero Sword to fight.
Oh no. I'm saying Hero Sword beat PDK like really hard.
Oh really? Yeah, I thought it would have been the other way around.
Yeah, it's because like they don't have any efficient answers for like your 2/2 and your 2/3s and stuff like that. And then even if you go 4 offense and they have the perfect Draconia, it's like they're not guaranteed to be able to like they can clear the 4/4, you still go 2/2 and 1/1. Like you've actually got like very efficient and like strong tempo tours, which a lot of other decks can't really do against PDK. But yeah, Hero Sword seems uniquely well positioned.
I guess considering that they're probably not going to be running Conflag, it's really hard for them to remove your board after you've established one.
Yeah, and you can also like race them as well. Like first of all, they have an Alpha Leo if you run that, but then they also can't really race against Tokai Teo too. So it doesn't matter how you build your Hero Sword deck, to be honest. I think you beat PDK.
Okay.
Cool. Last point is price of cards in this expansion. So look, apart from certain outliers, like I mean Israfil is pretty expensive, and for some reason Mars, it's like 18 or 15 USD or something, which is ridiculous because I have no idea like what deck it's even played in that would warrant a price like that. But apart from that, like I feel as though a lot of decks, like the upgrades are really, really cheap this expansion. Like even for Forest, it's like your most expensive card is Cassiopeia, right? Which is not expensive because you can pull CC, which is the same card. So if you buy like a case, you might hit like 6 or 8 copies of like the Cassiopeia. So that's like dragging the price down. Plus like the rest of your cards are all golds, right? And then you look at decks like Hero Sword and like you don't need to add any legendaries. I think you just add like silvers and bronzes. Like basically there's not really any like particular expensive cards in the set, which I think is a good thing if you're a casual player. It kind of rewards you for committing to a deck in previous expansions, right? And then you still get like a different way of playing the game, but it's not going to cost you much. Like they're basically saying like, okay, you built Hero Sword last set, okay, you get to play that for 4 months, and like all you have to do is pay $5 to like upgrade your deck. And I think that's pretty cool. Not sure how I feel about that in terms of like, you know, making sure that the product value is high. I mean, there's obviously the collab, right? So that's probably where most of the value is. But I mean, I like it in general. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of it. I mean, if it means easier accessibility for the rest of the players, I'm all up for it. And then if people really want to chase the high expensive collab cards, you know, let them be the ones to do it, and it doesn't drag everyone else down.
Yeah, I think it's good every once in a while. But since we're talking about the collaboration, like why don't we we're both big Code Geass fans, right? I think basically if you're a boomer like we are, like, and you grew up like watching Code Geass, like this is like a godsend essentially. And from what I can tell, right, like the actual like age group of people that play Shadowverse Evolve is like generally within our kind of like, you know, generation, like give or take like 5 to 10 years. But I think like a lot of people that play are like all excited about Code Geass. I mean, it's a great show. It's like, you know, top 50 for both seasons of my anime list, which is something that I use to generally rate shows. But yeah, like I enjoy, like, you know, I really like Code Geass. All the characters are very appealing to me. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people who just in general heard about this collab and were more than willing to give Shadowverse Evolve a try because of it. So I think it's good for the game. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I would even go say Code Geass is like one of my top 5 animes. So that just goes to show how much I enjoy the show and what I think it's going to do for the game.
Mm. So, I mean, I have a story. So I went to Parramatta, like most people won't know where that is, but I went there to play an open event. And I remember like we were all like situated in like a room because like there's a massive Pokemon tournament there as well. So like they had to like take us to some random like back room or whatever. But then like when I was walking to grab a drink, like there was like this couple there and they were just like, and like I couldn't tell if they were like Shadowverse or not, right? But like I overheard the conversation of like, oh, maybe we should like buy out the entire case or something like that. And I was like, surely they're not referring to Shadowverse, right? But then like afterwards, like I saw them like looking at like all the remaining boxes of like BP04 and they're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they were just like, it's like, all right, let's buy all of these. Hopefully we hit the leader. I was like, damn. And like these guys I'd like literally never seen before. Like I don't think they like were playing any tournaments or anything like that. It was just a couple. And like I had a conversation with them and apparently like they went to Japan like I think like a year or two back, and then like they saw like the collab cards in like Japan and they were like, oh yeah, we got to get this when it comes out in English. And like, you know, this is a store where like I don't think their sales of Shadowverse product are like particularly good. But then like, so I think they only ordered like a case tops, right? And then to like just literally have like one couple go there and then sell like 8 boxes in one go, like that's probably the type of thing that like this store doesn't experience very much. And I think it like restores the confidence like the store has to like continue supporting the game. Because like if you can just sell like that many boxes in one go, you're like, okay, cool, like what's kind of next, right? So I mean that's just one example. And you know, I've also like there was one guy who was just there, he just finished playing like the Pokemon tournament, and then like he bought like a box of BP04 just randomly, and then like I said to him, oh, are you gonna play the pre-release? It's like in 10 minutes time. And he was like, oh yeah, I've got nothing else to do, may as well. And like this is a guy who plays it because, you know, I think he likes the Code Geass collab as well. But I think you always get these people who collect Shadowverse Evolve simply because they like the art. That's been like a pretty common theme. Is that similar in Melbourne?
Yeah. Regarding the artwork or regarding the reception of the Code Geass?
Both.
Well, with the artwork itself, I do feel like there's a lot of collectors down here as well.
Mm-hmm.
And my locals especially. There's this group of other Bushiroad game players. I don't know if it's Weiss or Vanguard, but after all the Shadowverse events finished, after we've all left, that's when they go back and they start pulling cards, just because they enjoy the artwork and because they don't want to be attacked by us for trades and stuff like that, like vultures.
Oh, okay.
And with the Code Geass reception, I do have a similar story to yours. Although it wasn't a group, went to an Open 8 tournament on the first week, and there was also a person there that just started the game just to play Code Geass, and I saw him rip mad boxes just to get a full play set of every single Code Geass card. So like 3 of the Cassiopeias, 3 of the Sybil Altars and stuff like that.
You get any leaders?
He didn't pull any leaders, but he bought everyone's leader that was there at the store. So anyone that had any leaders was like, are you selling? And they'll be like, oh, this is the price. Doesn't ask for a discount, just buys it.
So, well, what leaders have you pulled out so far? Like, have you hit anything or?
Why you attack me when you already know?
No, it's for the podcast, man.
Yeah. So unfortunately or fortunately, I did pull a leader, but I'll have you know I have cracked 6 boxes
Okay,
just
so
for getting Charles leader.
hey, Charles is pretty cool, right? It's not even the lowest value leader. It's Jeremiah.
I'm just not a fan of the character, but the voice actor is S tier.
Oh yeah, I really love how they're using Japanese voices actually. Like I'm a big fan of like, you know, Code Geass, especially the sub version, and like, you know, Jun Fukuyama, like goddamn, so good. And like it brings back a lot of memories. Like I don't think I would have the same like experience for the English voices. But that's good nostalgia talking, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan that they've actually gone with the sub the original voices rather than the dubbed voices.
Yeah, I was a little
More of
worried.
an incentive to like chase them now.
Yeah, I was a little worried
really
in set one, right? Because in set one it was like all English voices, and then set two again. And then Uma was when like, you know, obviously there's no English dub for Uma, so like it was like, oh okay, so they can do Japanese voices, but will they do it for Code Geass? And then when the answer was yes, so like, oh damn, like
yes.
Nice. Speaking of which, have you heard the English dub for the Lorena leader? It's in the same set.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so like, I don't know if this character is like this in Japanese version, but like it's literally like when you scan it, it's like, let's get some gains. Time to get swole. Like, let's do some sets. Like, because it's like a literal like, I don't even share a he because on a Facebook post from Cygames or Shadowverse Evolve, they called him a he. I don't know. Whatever his gender is or her gender. I don't know.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, it's just like all about gains. And I'm like, I had no interest.
Like updated gaming terminology.
Dude, I literally had no interest whatsoever in this leader, but like after hearing it, I was like, I kind of want this leader now. So like, even for that, like when they embrace like the meme, like it's pretty good. In terms of like the leaders I've pulled so far, so I'll do you one better. So it might open 8-1. I paid for someone's entry. And then like obviously I would get the cards after they entered, right? And so he pulled a leader, and it was Jeremiah. And for those that don't know, like Jeremiah is obviously the lowest value leader in the entire set, I think. I think he's actually the lowest, yeah. And like, don't get me wrong, I really like him. I'm actually really surprised he is the lowest value leader. In Japan, I believe it was Charles. In English, it's Jeremiah. But like, I feel as though the orange memes were like pretty, like, you know, popular in English. So, are you surprised that Jeremiah is the lowest value?
I'm not surprised actually. I do think I would put him at the lowest, just only because he also already shares a slot with another collab character, which is
You mean Cornelia or Millie?
Yeah, Cornelia.
Okay, but that was the case in Japan as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like it's just showing that there's a different like taste associated between English and Japanese audience. But I mean, I'm still a little surprised. I feel as though Charles would have been lower, but apparently not. Do you want to do a trade?
No.
No straight trades? Okay, alright.
No.
Yeah. Alright,
the other leaders maybe.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky though, because I was at locals the other day, and one of the local goers, Henry, like basically their group, they buy like a lot of cases. So I think like of the two of them, like Lawrence, like he already pulled one from like the cases, and then Henry bought like a CC as well from someone else. And so like there were only like 5 of us in the tournament, I think, and like he pulled another CC leader. I was like, oh! But like because like he already had it and Lawrence already had it, they sold it to me for a pretty good price. So I'm really happy. Like CC's obviously it's got great art, like in terms of the leader, and also like it's one of my favorite characters too. So I literally played an online tournament the next day just to like try the leader, and I won. B&B is not that bad, guys. But yeah. But yeah, I'm a bit surprised with prices too. Like I feel as some of them are a lot higher than I expected. I mean, to be fair, I don't know like what the effect is in terms of like when there's more and more leaders, like does everything go down? And is that the reason why like the price is so much lower in Japan? But like I'm quite surprised that like Lelouch is like selling for like the non-signed version is selling for over 200 USD. Like it's not something I would pay for it, but like I think that might be the case that there's like a lot of people who like are very casual, but they want the leader. And that might be something that's kind of unique to the English market.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, overall, I think the Geass collaboration is great. I hope they do more in the future. Like, it's something that I was definitely looking forward to. I think the next one in Japan was like a HoloLive one. So I think if we get like a HoloLive English, like a Holo EM collaboration, I think that would be pretty massive for the game as well.
Yeah, any HoloLive edition is always gonna like do well
Yeah, I
for
agree.
any IP that is collabing with.
And speaking of which, like, they have actually done a collaboration with the digital Shadowverse, so the odds of them actually following through with that is not that low. Like, I think it's pretty likely. Like, I think Mori Kallio, like, she did one, and there's one other HoloLive, I can't remember which one it was, so, but like, they could do Mori, for instance, and like that would actually be possible potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, BSF Melbourne. So going a little bit back into the past year. So BSF Melbourne, that was set 3. So I actually played with James and someone else called Jake. So wait, I'm just thinking like, no, we won't go through the grandma story. Like, let's leave let's leave that to one side. Anyway, we played as a team. I played Herosaur, Jake played Dragon, and then James, EveAzn, obviously, he played Uma.
Yep.
I think it was interesting because both James and I think we both wanted to play Uma. It was probably the deck that I played the most during set 3, to be honest. I did feel as though like those were probably the 3 best decks of the format. Didn't think Egg was quite as good. I did like the BSF Melbourne champion list for it. Like the Fallen Angel tag was actually really good for that iteration of the meta, but obviously I didn't know about that tech at the time. But I think like those are probably the 3 best decks. I mean, it was a little unfortunate because I tend to think my skill level is pretty high, and like it was almost a bit of a waste for me to play Hero Sword, where like your skill level doesn't really influence the outcome by like a huge margin. But I felt like it was the best deck as well, like for our lineup, and so it felt like we should just play like the better lineup rather than like trying to be cocky in terms of skill. I think it didn't really work out for me though. I think I went 3-2. The games I lost were pretty unfortunate, so I think I got queued into Uma twice, and obviously Uma's a very bad matchup for Sword. Like basically the first one was just he opened with Tachyon, I think, and then he went first, opened with Tachyon, and like I just couldn't out it. He drew like all the removal, and I think I still nearly came back, but yeah, it was just a little bit too difficult. When they have Tachyon, and then the second one I played against the Smart Falcon list. To be honest, I don't think I was like, I hadn't properly researched like the meta. Like I did kind of see it, but I didn't think much of it. I thought it was a bit of a meme build, but like that list crushes Hero Sword. I got Smart Falcon for 4 AoE damage, and I was like, cool. I guess I lose now. And like even then, I could have still won. I think I had like, I think it was like 2 or 3 turns, right, where like I could have topped out. So like all I needed to hit was like Valiant Fencer, Heroic Entry, Jumpstart Commander, like any of these cards, right? If I hit it, then like I might have just won the game on the spot. But unfortunately, I think I drew like a 1-drop 2 turns in a row. So those are my 2 losses. And for the 3 wins, one of them was against Dragon. That's a free matchup, and I expect a lot of Dragon. Dragon was definitely very popular at the event. I did not play against Egghaven though, but what was the other one? I think I played against Forest, B&B. That game was looking really rough. You opened with Elfchild May and Ancient Elf, but then I had like this one turn where like I flipped the entire board around. Like I think my Mero was already on the field, so like I went double Valiant or something like that, which is insane. And then I can't remember my last round. My last match. Do you remember?
That's when I was playing against Haven. You were playing against something. It was a fast game, right?
The Sword Mirror, of course.
Yeah.
No, that game was like actually really tight. So like I had the early lead, but like I literally ran out of resources. So he full cleared my board, and he had like 11 damage on the board with like 1 board space open. And like based on like my knowledge of like the matchup, right? Like it's kind of hard to have storm damage like at that point of the game unless you have like exactly Alvador, Tokage or something. But he had Mac Knight in the grave, so you had 4 slots open, right? So I just took the risk, and I said like, I'm just gonna play like a bunch of followers standing and pass. I'm not gonna trade with you even though I can, and then hope you just don't have the last 1 damage. And he just didn't have it. In fact, he actually had a Nero in hand, so if I cleared even a single follower, he might have been able to kill me by bringing back Mac Knight as well, or like stuff like that. So that was a really tight game, and then like in BSF Melbourne, you were allowed to like communicate a bit. So I remember like it was like the final turn, and like I had two different like lethal options, and then one of them was like you could bring it back with one of them was like a Nero, and like the other one was like Novice Trooper or something like that, and like they were like different, like they were good for different reasons. And then I was just discussing with Jake, who like already finished the game as well. And then like in the previous turn, they like told us to hurry up, but like in this final turn, like when we were discussing like lethal options, we're like, oh, but this stuff been playing around like double Unbridled Fury, and like what are like the possible like solutions they could have to like clear our board and not like die. And like they were just looking at us the whole time, and like they had nothing in their hand. Yeah. So like we're discussing like two different lethals, and like the whole point they're just sitting there like shit. We're so dead. But yeah, that was basically our round. I think we finished was it 10th place in the end?
A modest 10th.
Yeah, a modest 10th. It was alright. How'd your run
go? My run was it was pretty smooth. I think it was like 4 wins, 1 loss. Should have been 5-0, but yeah, it was unfortunate round 1. I played against the Sword. Obviously, I'm playing Uma versus Sword. Uma has the favorable matchup. Turn 3, turn 4, or even turn 5 is when the Sword tries to get ahead and push for damage. He pushed for a lot of damage. Got me to around 15 or something. Around turn 6, I kind of stabilized. But he still swung in a bit more storm damage. I can't remember the exact order, but he got me to around about 3 or 4 health. And then at turn 7, that's when I had a full turn of wards set up, and the board was buffed through vodka as well. And on turn 8, he had no cards in hand, by the way, on turn 8. And then he flipped the Narita Brian, engaged it, and then extended his hand. I was just like, okay. Okay, that's how it is.
Skill issue.
Yeah. So that one was a bit unfortunate because I'm pretty sure he only runs that as a one-off, and for him to top deck the exact and only card that he needed was a bit unfortunate. Everything else was a bit simple. I can't remember what I played exactly, but I think in round 2 I played against Silver Bolt Control. Not much to say there. My opponent kind of bricked. He mulliganed, got an even worse hand, and I just killed him on turn 4. Turn 5, I think I just played Dawa Vodka, and he just conceded instantly.
Yeah, well, you can't clear it. That's like one of the issues for that expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Round 3, I think I played against Abyss.
Yeah, Control Abyss, I think.
Discard Abyss.
Yeah.
For the same reason, I set up a giant board. They couldn't remove it. This time I think I did it on. I think my final end board was like Dawa, Vodka, and double Top Gun.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I couldn't clear it.
Yeah, there's no AoE damage. They can't clear it at that point.
Yeah, so. And I can't. Do you remember my round 4 opponent?
I remember in round 5 you played against Control Haven.
Yeah, Control Haven was my round 5, which is the one that I should have lost.
Mm.
But I guess we can skip over round 4 and just talk about the Haven Control match.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, that one, it was looking a bit rough for me. He checked all of my, like everything I was playing. Like he had all the banishes, the removals. He got his Aegis out at a good time as well.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunate for him, I think I stalled for another 2 turns later, and then I kept pushing him with damage with the 2-cost Storm spell.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kept recurring that with Tachyon, and then on the final turn, I managed to do like play that with the Dawa Scarlet, giving her Storm as well. On like turn 10, and I was able to get over with that one.
Yeah,
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 so my final score was 4-1, but technically I still count it as 5-0, but it is
I
what
don't
it
know.
is.
I don't think you can count as a 5-0, bro. You got outskilled by Henry.
Mm.
Happens. But yeah, like I think one of the things that was good about the event is that you could actually communicate with teammates. Apparently you can't do that in some of the other BSFs, but I think in Indonesia and Australia you can. I don't really understand like why you can't communicate with your teammates in other regions. At that point, like, are you even really a team? Like, what is to glorify like 3BO1s? Like, if you can't communicate, right? So weird. Speaking of which, like, I think you probably would have lost that Haven game if I couldn't give you advice for that one too. Like, although you did listen to my first piece of advice, which was don't play Dial Vodka on turn 5. But
Well, you were really clear with what you said. You were just like, save for combo. What combo? What combo?
the Storm, yeah, okay, whatever. But yeah, like I played that matchup against Brandy Wu when we were in Japan for Worlds, and that matchup was so free for Uma, like I have to say, because like they can't stop you from like getting storm damage from Daiwan Vodka, and then you can just search the storm spell and you can just recur attack it repeatedly, and like they just can't stop you. Like it's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like the communication aspect was good though. I feel like it wouldn't be like as good of an event if they didn't have it. I think every region would consider doing it or should just be in the rules. But I think apparently it's tournament organizer discretion. But I mean, I feel like every TO should just do it though.
Yeah, I'm for it as well. I don't feel like it's like a major advantage anyway, because I feel like your partner or your team members could also spread misinformation to you. So it's like,
Okay.
you know, that's what I think. I feel like it's not that much of an advantage, and it should be, agreed in every region, like allowed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair enough.
And it's more fun for everyone as well. I really enjoy the team aspect of having to like chat and strategize on certain turns and stuff like that.
Yeah, you just don't have that if you can't communicate. It just really doesn't feel like you're a team, like otherwise.
I feel like the only issue with that would be like time constraints, but I don't think any game went to time at all.
Yeah, not even
Considering,
one.
considering it's a BO1, like I just don't see how it could go to time.
Even your game against Control Haven didn't go to time, and that went to like 10 turns. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 turns and asking for your advice every turn.
Yeah, I can't believe you nearly didn't swing like with a Guri cap like on that one turn too. You had like 2 mana open, so I guess it's not a deck that you would have had much experience playing against in set 3 in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, can't speak much for Jake. I think he went 2-3, but well, one of the games he threw because we were already 2-0 in that match, but I believe he went 2-3. I think it's just unfortunate the timing of which we lost to. It was like for all of us to like lose in the same like at the same time, which cost us the first 2 rounds. Whereas if they were spread out a bit more, like our tiebreakers would have been better, and we might have won 4-1 instead.
Yeah, there was never a case where 2 people would be carrying one person. Like if we lost, we just all lost at the same time.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think that was pretty much the entire experience I had as well. Overall, it's good. It was a good event. I mean, I don't really like Melbourne too much though, like personally. But that's because I really like public transport, and Melbourne's infrastructure is not particularly great.
I'm sitting right here.
Hey man, hey man. Yeah, there's gonna be a bunch of Melbourne people who are gonna come at me for that, but yeah, it's alright. It was an enjoyable experience. I mean, what did you think of like the pricing as well?
I mean, pricing given with like any like I don't want to say Bushiroad because I feel like they've updated their pricing for the other games like Vanguard and stuff, right? So I'm just gonna keep it to Shadowverse, where pricing's been the same throughout its whole lifespan, where it's, or just in English, by the way, that it's only been the winner who gets pretty much anything. Anyone else besides the winners get little to nothing. So in that perspective, coming from me competing in other card games as well is a bit disappointing personally. Because so many people make the time and effort to come out to these events, and I think everyone's hoping for like how would you say it? Like a more of a return for what they paid to get there.
Yeah, because even though the event is free, like people like myself had to fly over, right? And then like I mean, people will be willing to pay. Like it's my general view, right? Like just because the event is free doesn't mean that the time value, like people's time is free, right? Or like the transportation costs or whatever. And plus, like if you're gonna be there for like 9 hours, or whatever, like you'd be happy to pay like $20-$30 or whatever it is. If that means better pricing, right? I think like to be honest, so like the ways they could improve it, like first of all, I'll say I like the participation prize. Like the promo pack was really good. Like pretty much almost every card was good except like the magical bishop, I think. But like every other card was great. Like cards I would definitely want, right? But like that aspect I'm like totally happy with. But then I think in terms of like the top 3 or top 8, like you know how like when we scrubbed out and like we didn't make top 8, I was just sort of whatever. Like you can't even be mad. Like in another game, like if you don't make top 8, you're like shit, I just lost out on hundreds or like thousands of dollars, right? But in this case, you're like in this case you were just like we had to win the whole thing anyway, and if we lost 2 games, then we weren't going to win the whole thing. So it's like it's really easy to cope, right? But yeah, like top 8 didn't really get anything. I think they got like 1 extra promo pack or something. And like apparently like that was unique to like Melbourne. They don't do that for the other BSFs, I think. Yeah, and then like even second and third, you get like the medal or whatever, but like it's not really great memories, I don't think, anyway. Plus like they don't go for anything unless like there's specifically a whale that's willing to buy it, which I will get to later. There was someone who was looking to buy medals for some reason, but but most of the time that's not the case. And I think like the solution's pretty easy. Like we know Bushi is doing like hot stamps now. They could have just done something like the Baja promo. Like if the first place team gets the Baja promo, it says winner, and then if you come second, it goes second place or first runner up, and if you come like third, you get like second or second runner up, whatever. And then that way, like, your top 3 teams, like, they all get like a pretty decent prize, right? And then you still maintain the value of the champion prize because it's got the winner hot stamp on it. So it's inherently going to be worth more. And like, that's something that doesn't really cost much money to like implement, right? And like, it creates like a huge, like, instead of having like 3 people that are happy at the end of the day, like just with this change alone, you would have 9 people that are happy, right? And like, at the end of the day, like these events are for like a celebration, right? Like it's in, you put in your time, you play with your friends, you get to walk away or something, instead of just like a medal. Like the medal, like just get rid of the medal. Like the medals aren't cheap, right? Because they actually have like a material cost. But like just get rid of the medals, like create like a different stabbed promo card, and I think people will be way more happy.
Yeah, I agreed.
Yeah. But obviously, hopefully they actually listen to some of the feedback. But yeah, I enjoyed the event overall.
Yeah, the event itself was enjoyable. Shout out to the EveAzn guys for providing the venue and running such a great event. I'm really happy with they had a raffle system on the day. If you purchased any of their products, you could pull from the raffle and you can get some bonus cards. I thought that was really fun. What's your opinion on that?
I think we won't get into that one.
Okay.
Okay. Any good pulls? You could say that. All right. Let's move to our next section. So this one is some of the local names in the Australian scene. So I've got a really good one. So there's this guy, right? He's called Jerry Wang. So he's the local Sydney whale. He's like a very rich Chinese university student who like has single-handedly changed the vocabulary of every Sydney SVE player. So one of my favorite ones is like he'll walk into a store and he'll just randomly buy a box of like product, right? Every time he like opens a pack, he'll like see like the rare card, be like, oh yeah, 50 cents come back, or $20 come back, or like, oh, he might open the entire box and like, goddamn, money disappear. or he might like pull like a really like big hit. He might pull like the SVE and be like, oh, money come back. And like at first, like it sounds really out of place, but before you know it, like it's part of your vocabulary as well, and you just can't stop anymore, right? Or like, and the other ones are like when you're playing like a random game, and like he'll be in like a rough position, and you just be like, Oh yeah, still alive, still alive. But when his opponents make a good play and they get lucky, I like he'll just be like so professional. And like I've been using that a lot. I've been using that one a lot. So like before I knew it, like basically everyone was like becoming like Jerry Wang. James, you've actually met Jerry. What did you think of him?
Yeah, he's everything he lived up to be. I mean, like when you're doing like all the impersonations and then seeing him saying it in person, pretty damn funny. It didn't run dry at all. I think throughout the event, I was just even saying it as well, and Jake as well,
Yeah.
teammate.
Dude, it's so memeable. Like, I don't think it's like intentional, and like we're not even making fun of him or anything like that. It's just literally like the comments are just funny. Like, you can't help it. Like, so professional. It's like it can work for any situation, right? It's like they play Oracle on turn 2. So professional, right? They top deck like Forte for lethal. Oh, so professional. Or you top deck like Ancient Elf in turn 2. Oh yeah, it's so professional. It's so good, man. Like, I love Jerry Wang. It's one of my favorite players.
Yeah, I don't think we don't have anything at that level at our locals in Victoria, Melbourne. But yeah, Jerry's one. You know, we'll have to distribute that through Australia.
Yeah, I think the really funny thing though is like, because like if you're not familiar with Jerry, right, and like someone just goes like so professional, you can't tell if like they're being sarcastic or not. So they're like, man, this guy's a bit of a dick, like, but they don't know like it's actually like a story behind it, and like everyone kind of says it. And like the money comeback one is like absolutely like fantastic. Like just before when we were talking about like the CC leader getting pulled, and then like Henry sold it to me, right? It's like money come back, and I'm like, yeah, money did come back. Money come back. It's just the fact that like it's not even grammatically accurate, but like the meaning is just yeah, I love it. All right, so the next one is does the luck stat exist? So I'll give an example of a guy in Sydney. It's called Shano. So when he entered his first tournament, I think he named himself Shano Insano in the Bushinabbi. And like I think every locals has a guy sort of like him who like seems to always hit in like his boxes or his prize packs. So in his case, he's the type of guy who'll get like 1 pack or 2 packs from like from participation, and like everyone else will like miss. And then he's like, oh, I pulled Cassiopeia. It's like Cassiopeia Ultimate. Like, oh, I pulled the leader. And like one case was like when after a tournament, he went and bought like a box of like BP03, opens it, and he like pulls an ultimate. I'm like, wow, like that's pretty lucky. And then he goes to the counter and he buys a box of Uno right after. And then like he pulls like a SP Tokaiteo. And I'm like, bro, leave some of that for the rest of us. And so like I feel as though like, you know, there's definitely people who just have an inherently higher luck stat than like other people. Is anyone like that in your game store?
Oh, 100%. There's oh god, I have so many stories of just one particular person. He goes by the name of Tong, and dude, this guy, his luck stat must be maxed out. Just as you said before, this guy will just rock up to random stores. Mind you, he doesn't even buy boxes. He'll just be like, "Oh, just give me two packs. Pack ultimate, pack leader." Just going across different stores and just killing it. There was this especially damaging story where I think it was set 2, and I think the ratios was it 1
and 3
to ultimate.
Like there were like 3 only, yeah.
3, right? This guy bought 3 boxes, and me and 3 other people, we split half of a case. And this guy gets to the store, right, 1 hour earlier than us, buys 2 boxes, and gets the ultimate and the leader. And then the rest of us, we just opened like 6 boxes, dead, nothing. we were so killed after that. Tragic. And then it didn't even stop after that. Just like every time we go locals, he's the one that always hits it. Ultimate leader.
Didn't he hit a loose leader as well?
Apparently, first week open 8. Boom. First 8 packs. The
yeah. Like I feel as though I'd rather be lucky than good. Not gonna lie. Ideally both,
It's,
but I'd rather be lucky than good.
yeah. It's hard to say though,
Mhm.
because yeah, it's hard to say. It's like on one hand, do you want your money come back on your backs, or would you rather like win like rare promo cards from like worlds and stuff like that?
Well, I mean,
I
neither
get
of
it,
us
right?
won from Worlds, right? Damn, that Alice was so good.
Well, I even kept the tiers, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
The
Yeah,
tiers aren't nothing.
yeah, the tiers are pretty good. I
Yeah.
mean, man, I really wanted to win Worlds, man, but oh, I knew it's a pipe dream. Only one person could win BO1. I mean, do you want to talk about the Worlds trip at all? Maybe now's a good segue. So
Yeah, would you like?
yeah, so obviously I think we both went there like a week or two early, like before the tournament began. I think I went like 2 weeks earlier than me. I think it was because I left on Australia Day, and I was really surprised that nobody else was like taking that opportunity because it's like a 4 day like public holiday or something like that. So I decided to just leave early. And like, I just love Japan in general. Like the food is amazing. It's really cheap because like the Japanese yen is unfortunately not very strong right now, or fortunately for us. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I mean, pretty much like whenever I like eat out in like Australia, like I'm always gonna like, consider eating Japanese food, and then going there and like seeing like the food being like I don't know like
Less
what
than half.
$10, yeah, less than half, but like almost objectively better quality food as
Yes.
well. Like it tastes better, it's cheaper, like the service is pretty exquisite as well. Like
Yeah.
what is it to hate, right? So I think like the first week, like I was just like touring around Japan. When I got back to my hotel room at nighttime, I think I like tested on webcam because like there was pretty much nobody like available in Japan. Like I think of the people that did show up, like they were like traveling across Japan already. So like I think that was pretty much like my first couple of days, and then once more people started arriving, I think that's when we started hanging out a bit more, and then we started playtesting a lot in Akihabara. I feel as though like we probably went to like the car, like we went to the same card game stores like probably like 5 to 10 times because like every time someone new came over, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we want to get Akihabara."
Yeah.
Like what are the best?
Tour guide. Show us around.
Yeah, we like a tour guy like even applied up until like the last day I think because like I think after Worlds we took Bella who came second at the World Championship and like we took her around Akihabara as well like to some of the key locations. So
Yeah.
right up until the end we were literally tour guides, man.
Yeah. I feel like every day or every second day we were just in Akihabara.
Oh, and like the goods are so cheap there. Like holy moly, I bought like like those KMC sleeves, like the ones where like you can do the character cards or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are like $4 or something, like or $3
Yeah.
AUD. It's like literally like 1/3 of the price. Like I must have bought so many card game supplies in Japan. Like, like I'm looking at a spot in my room right now, and it's like literally a plastic bag, and it's probably got like 30 packs of sleeves.
Still leftover sleeves, under sleeves.
Yeah. Like hopefully I can make it back to Japan so I can stock up on a yearly basis.
Yes, likewise. Like I didn't buy as much sleeves, but I did buy a lot of playmats. I think I came back with like 10 different playmats, and I have no idea what I'm doing with them now. I'm basically like rotating it out every day of the week. I have like one for each day of the week.
I think I was doing that for a while, but I think I've like settled on a bit of like I'm settling on like the Alice playmat for Worlds, and then I'm also using the code Geass playmats right now. So I think I'll be using the CC one for quite a while. Like the artwork is really good. It's like the Clockworks one. I think that one just came out. It's the one where like CC is sort of in like the Lelouch outfit, like the Zero like outfit, and that one's like insane. And I bought like 2 Callan ones as well. So I haven't pulled the Callan leader yet, so or bought one. So I mean, eventually when I acquire it and play Dragon, I'll be sure to whip that one out too.
Mm.
So, any highlights in terms of like your trip? Not including the actual World Championship, which we'll get into next.
Yeah. So for myself, I actually had a connecting flight from America. I was in Los Angeles for a different Worlds tournament. I was there for a week, and then I flew from there directly to Japan, and then that's where I met Bima. Well, that's
We
where we
met in
actually
Melbourne. We met in Melbourne, but yeah.
before, but that's where we actually like sat down and like properly talked and connected and stuff like that.
What did we eat again? It was like what was it, like a meat store? Like
like a pepper steak kind of thing, right?
yeah, I mean obviously it wasn't pepper lunch, but it was like
It wasn't pepper lunch, but like
yeah. But like it was like a meat and like it was like a 3,000, 4,000 yen like meal, I think. And then you could get like egg on top of the rice as well. It's pretty good.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I think the first was the first couple of days we were just like playtesting, looking around Akihabara ourselves, and then one other person would show up, and then we showed them around, and then another person would show up, and we do that again. And I think we did that every day until the start of the Worlds tournament itself. And then even after then, like after we finished, then we did that a few more days after that.
So like one story a lot of people won't know is like one of the decks I was testing and considering bringing to Worlds was like Ramp Dragon, but not in the traditional sense. It was like Hyper Ramp Dragon into the 10 cost Uma spell, and like basically you would just heal for like 10, 15, 20. And that deck was like actually surprisingly good against every matchup except the sword. So like I was like really, really close to bringing this deck. But like we didn't have enough time to fully playtest it because we thought the deck list was due on the day of the tournament, but apparently it was due at the day before. And we didn't know that because apparently like we thought it was optional to attend that session the night before. Yeah, the opening
ceremony.
Yeah, because like they asked if you were going to attend, right? And like we just assumed, but they didn't put in writing like you had to submit your deck list before then.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, it was fine because like in my first 2 rounds it was against sword anyways. I guess yeah, I guess it was unfortunate, but like I guess even if I had brought that dragon deck, it wouldn't have changed anything for me.
Yeah.
I ended up bringing Uma, which I thought was one of the best decks of the format. I think it's still the best deck of the format.
Of that format?
I thought so.
Overall, yeah, I probably agree.
But what I didn't take into consideration is like I drew Dio Vodka like 2 times in like 7 rounds, I think. Like the only games I drew it in like there was one where like my opponent was super breaking and it's a mirror, and the other one is in the final round and he was playing dragon, he just had complex. But like I didn't draw Dio Vodka like when they like sort of mattered as well. So like in the sword matchups, if you get Dio Vodka on turn 5, you just automatically win. And like I just didn't hit 2 times. And my first round opponent, I think he played Leonidas like blind into my board. And obviously I run triple Asian Flash, I run 2 Mackinenhauser, and he just slams on me, and I'm like, man, I didn't draw any of those.
Yeah.
And I just lost. And I'm like, god damn, dude, like I'm out the World Championships, like even my locals like don't do that. Like even the players in my locals went slam Leo, right? And I was like a little salty, and then like the guy was like, oh, this was my hand. And like his hand was like Novice Trooper, Albert, Leo. And I was like, oh, quick play though. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess he had no choice. But like, I'm just super unlucky, right? Because like obviously most of the time Uma is gonna have the out, right? But unfortunately, I just didn't have it. Or die with vodka. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, same goes for me. I felt like I was really unlucky with that tournament as well. I actually only saw vodka die with vodka only once that whole tournament. I only had like I always either had a handful of vodkas or a handful of Daiwas. I never saw them together, and I think my matchup spread was like 1 rune, 1 sword, and the rest were mirrors. And in the mirror, if you don't have Daiwa vodka, you pretty much just lose instantly, unless you have Tachyon with like 2 or 3 spells. You literally cannot deal with that board.
Yeah,
you're just gonna get out-tempered.
Exactly. If there's one thing I was happy about, it was like I did actually get a feature match, so managed to win on stream. And like it was the most copium game I've ever seen. Like none of us drew Daiwa vodka until like turn 8 or turn 9. And my opponent was like literally putting carrots on their Daiwa to like clear my board. Like that's how copium the match was.
Just so he could get the extra bump on Lamplit.
No, maybe. Yeah, I think he was, but he also needed it to like actually clear my board.
Yeah. Oh, okay, to swing into it. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
So like it was the most copium game I've ever played. It was just like that was just a story of my life. Like even my opponents were getting unlucky. And one of my opponents I think had like a max rarity Uma deck. Like everything was SP. And he like had the worst luck I've seen all day. Like he totally bricked. He didn't get die vodka, and I was like, man, that's a lot of SPs this guy has. And it turns out his entire deck was just an SP. Which you kind of do expect at like the World Championship level, but yeah. How's your run?
Yeah, it's just sad. I'm gonna be honest, it's just sad. I felt like I mulliganed every time, and I just didn't see anything. I just kept on turn 3 and 4. I never had a good evolve target, and on turn 4 or 5, never had Daiwa vodka. So, and all my matches were mirror matches. So there's no real opportunity for me to try outskill my opponent, because the mirror match you really just can't fight itself unless you have the Tachyon.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a great Worlds for either of us. Although Justin Mao, he's an Australian player. He definitely had a pretty hot performance. I think he came third, right?
Third, yeah.
He 7-0 Swiss, and then came third. Man, he was so close to bringing it back to Australia now. So close.
He was our last hope.
And it's had like a really hot run. Like he probably has the best results of any Australian player right now. I think he won BSF Sydney, and then he no, not BSF, BCS Sydney, sorry.
BCS, yeah.
Yeah, BCS, and then he came third at Worlds, and then he came second at BCF in Melbourne. Like his results are actually pretty insane.
Speaking in terms of like locals and like other like tournaments and stuff like that, I feel like he does win the most in Victoria as well. So he's even consistent at locals and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think. Oh, he didn't play the LCQ, right? Because he was already qualified. That's probably like the only tournament like he hasn't attended that was like major. I think like my results like don't really stand out. I don't think anyone's results really stand out to it. I think maybe Henry's results are okay. I think Henry. He didn't win though. He came second at one of the regionals.
Third. Because I played him at semifinals.
Yeah, I think he came third at regionals, Melbourne. And he came second at the last chance qualifiers, and I think he scrubbed out in Worlds. And then he made top 4 in BSF Melbourne.
I think the rest of the Australian players, you included, didn't you? We all get you got 4-2, right?
It was 4-3 at the end, I think.
4-3. You were 4-3, right?
But to be fair, like in my final round, like I played against my opponent, and it was like a really weird situation where like I didn't tick down like my play points on like the calculator or whatever, and like I don't think you technically need to do it, to be fair, right? But what happened was like in the final round, like I played like Asian Flash for tempo, and then like I was down to 0 play points, but I didn't tick it down on like my Bushinabi app, right? I'm not Bushinabi, the SVE sidekick, and then he makes a play to clear my board. And then like halfway through the turn, I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm actually in 0 mana. And then he immediately pauses, and he's already played his turn, right? But then he like calls the judge, and like the judge doesn't respond, like, oh, what's up? And he goes like, oh, like I didn't know you were on like 0 play points. Like I want to change my move. And like maybe like if I were like X1 or something, like maybe I would have like argued the point, but I just said like whatever, it's fine, just take it back. But like because there's no difference in pricing if you don't make copy it anyway, right? But
yeah.
I actually don't know like how the ruling is supposed to play out that way, because like I don't know if it's mandatory to pick down your SVE sidekick. It probably is, but do you know?
I don't know exactly, but my interpretation of it is you as the opponent player, you should like confirm everything before they make their final, like their move. Like let's say that turn where you're supposed to play that mana cost, they should have corrected you for your mana payment.
Yeah, like it wasn't an illegal play, just so we're clear.
Yeah,
it's just I didn't tick it down on the app. Like
yeah. So it's not only your responsibility, but it's also his responsibility to keep track that you play playing everything correctly as well. So I feel like even if a judge was called, he would have just like, I feel like nothing would have happened.
Yeah, I mean, if you called a judge over and like the judge ruled against him, I think I would have won that, like that last round, but I just didn't care. Like,
Yeah.
so whatever. So like, technically, I think I would have placed in like, I think I would have finished like 12th or something, but who cares? Like, I wasn't playing just for like ego or anything, so it's whatever.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that was the World Championship. So that was pretty fun, even though we didn't top 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
But like,
Japan trip itself was the highlight.
yeah,
That's for sure.
In hindsight, it was pretty obvious I wasn't going to be lucky at the World Championship because there was the day before we went testing. I think I lost like every game. And then like there's this old Japanese lady that like came over and she was like, "Oh, you guys are not from Japan." And I was like, "No, we're not from Japan." It was like, "Where are you from?" Like, I'm technically from Australia / China or whatever, right? And like, I'm pretty sure like it was so sus, man. like she was giving like cursed vibes. Like I think she cursed me or something because like after that, my luck hasn't been the same.
Not just for that one.
Not just
everything.
Not just that. Yeah, my luck hasn't been the same. My heroic entries, man, I can't hit. Were there any kind of other interesting stories that you can recall from the trip?
From when you were there, or just in general?
Either.
So I did a lot more after you left.
Mm-hmm.
For everyone doesn't know, I stayed for another 2 weeks after everyone left. I was only supposed to only stay for one additional week, but when I wanted to leave was around the time of the Lunar New Year, and for whatever reason, the price is like 3 times the amount for the ticket to get back. So then I just stayed an additional week and a half. Well, in terms of highlights,
what was the best food you had like the entire trip?
Best food? Because we were stuck in Tokyo, we didn't really get to go. I didn't get to go try Kobe steak that I usually go to. So probably just the Japanese barbecue.
Oh, that was pretty good. Was that the final night or the day before?
I don't remember.
Yeah, okay, right.
I think I went back to eat there like 3 or 4 more times. You guys left, but that's one that comes from the top of my head.
I think the best one I had was like an eel. Like I can't remember where I ate it though, but like eel is like absolutely delicious, but it's quite expensive. But like the meal that I had the most, I think I went to Koko Ichibanya like 5 or 6 times. Like
yeah, I was there. I was there for all those times too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I dragged you over, but you enjoyed it, right?
No, it was good. It's definitely good.
It's because we don't have it in Sydney, I'm pretty sure. So I really love curry. I even bought like a curry shirt as well. It's like the Kanda Curry Grand Prix from Uniqlo. So like I rock that shirt sometimes. But yeah, I love Japanese curry and Koko Ichibanya. It's like it's just everywhere. And I'm like, if I'm not gonna eat it now, like when am I gonna eat this? Because like I've had some pretty like bad Japanese curry in Australia. So this is almost like, man, what am I gonna do when I get back? Like, damn. So yeah, that was probably like the Koko Ichibanya was the one I went to the most, but I think the eel was probably the best dish I had.
Have you been eating much Japanese food since you came back? Do you taste the difference?
Yes.
No, not at all.
Oh no, I haven't been eating much Japanese food. I had it like once or twice, but I mean that was really just to fulfill the craving.
What do you think about the ramen we had?
The ramen?
After BSF.
Oh, it was okay. I mean, like it was okay, but like for 20 AUD, like which is double the price of Japan, and like inferior in quality, it just feels bad, man.
Yeah,
it was not bad though.
Quality and service.
Oh, the service was not good, right? Yeah, not
there was not even any music.
Oh, yeah. No, there was, right? It was just like weed music, wasn't it?
No, there was no music. It was dead silent. Remember, I made a comment on it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, you're right. They did have anime figures, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that in Japan anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, in terms of my highlights, nothing's coming from the top of my head, but I have created like I took a lot of photos and videos, and maybe I'll make something out of that, like maybe a YouTube video or a montage. But yeah.
Okay, so how is the Shadowverse Evolve doing in Sydney and Melbourne generally? Do you think?
In terms of compared to other card games, I think it's doing pretty well. Despite of everyone's distaste for the tournament structures that it's had, given with the first 3 sets, where if you didn't qualify for the first one, you couldn't play for the second and third.
Yeah.
A lot of people have still been enjoying the game and been playing every week, regardless if they didn't get the invite and stuff like that. And even till now, I feel like it's grown since the launch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there was a point in time for Sydney where like I was actually legitimately concerned that the game would die. There was like at least like I would say like there was at least a 2 or 3 month period where like we were just getting 4 people and it was like the literal same like group of people like every tournament. And like I thought that like if I didn't attend, like it would just no longer have 4 people attending and like the game would just flop, right? But fortunately like since then like we've actually got like a lot of new people like interested in playing the game and like regulars. So like I haven't felt that way in quite a while, which is good. I feel like the game is definitely growing. And I think like one of the good signs was like BSF Melbourne. I think there were like 22 teams, which is like 70 players, I think, around there.
Yeah.
And like that's obviously really good, right? Because like you wouldn't have even thought there were 70 players like in Melbourne or like in Australia to begin with. And then even at the last chance qualifiers for Sydney last year, I think there were like 50 players something, which like was not bad. I think it's a bit bigger in Melbourne than it is in Sydney, if I'm not mistaken. Grand J has like 20 something people locals, right?
Only if it's like store champs and stuff like that. But I'd say it's pretty comparable. Like I wouldn't say it's too much different. I mean, for our locals, just normal weeklies, the ones I go to, we usually get about maybe somewhere between 8 and 10 people. Is that the same for you in Sydney?
Yeah, about that. It depends on the tournament, though. To be fair.
Or just a standard weekly with nothing.
Yeah.
Like no monthly.
Yeah, I think it's doing all right. I think like a lot of the announcements have been quite good, like in terms of like keeping the game alive. Because I was a bit concerned like originally, but it looks like they're stepping up. I did like the changes to the Grand Showdown actually. So like the Grand Showdown pricing is very good. For those who haven't seen it, you get like a unique old art for participation. I think it's like top 64 or something like that. You get like a Blazing Breath old art, which looks really sick. And then like I think if you go top 8, you get like a Guild Release promo. Then what else do you get? Oh, and then like depending on how well you play, you get multiple copies. Like the pricing is very good. And I think it's like a step in the right direction because like if they did that for all of their tournaments moving forward, like if they did something like that for BCS, like I would feel like really satisfied with pricing for Shadowverse Evolve. So like definitely like thumbs up for that. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I completely agree. If they just had something like because they've already been doing something like this with their like monthly championship, where they have like these breakpoints of like first, eighth, and participation, right? I feel like if they just adapted that to their bigger tournaments like Worlds, BCF, BCS, and stuff like that, a lot more people would be happy with that kind of structure.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, whereas like first, like maybe like first, top 3, 8, and then whatever breakpoints after that.
I think even like top 16 or whatever, or like top 32 would be good too. Yeah, well, whatever makes sense, right? But I think, generally speaking, like printing new cards doesn't really cost so much money, and like it's actually huge motivator for players. Like people feel happy, and like I think that's why they should do it, right? It keeps the player base happy. Gives like it rewards people for like practicing and putting their time. I mean, hell, if they want to put in like a entry fee, they can do that too. But I think they won't do that based on how they've operated for the past, 10 years or so. But yeah, one can train. One thing I will criticize though is the fact that like the Grand Showdown is obviously designed in such a way that you're meant to travel for it, because the Grand Showdown is set up that like there's only one in a region every 9 months, I think it is. So they rotate it on a 3 monthly basis. So I think the first one is in North America in like during like the end of 2024, and then like I think it goes Europe and then like Oceania or whatever. And like the main issue is basically like you're kind of expected to travel, but people aren't going to pay like $2,000 to travel for like a BO1 format, even if the pricing is good. Like the pricing is good, by the way. Like, but if they did like BO3 over 2 days, and like with that pricing, I'll probably fly over, even though it costs like over $1,000 to go, right? But as it stands, like even if I'm confident in myself, I'm not delusional. So Like, I think there's a big difference between the two. You have to be pretty delusional if you think that you're going to win the Grand Showdown and, like, you know, willing to pay like $1,000 to do it. Same thing with the World Championship, actually. So, like, with the World Championship, like, yeah, like, you would have to be delusional to think that you would, like, win the tournament. Like, you can be confident about your chances. You can be like, oh, if I give it my best shot, like, I might win the World Championship, right? That's fine. But if you're like, I'm going to win because I'm better than my opponents, like, that's just delusion.
Yeah. With that on that same topic, I was talking with a lot of the players at Worlds about that, like, well, their motivations and stuff like that, and I think most of them said, the ones that didn't get the sponsor trip said they only flew down for that tournament because it was in Japan and they were going to make a holiday out of it. Otherwise, let's say if it was in America or something like that, people wouldn't have been as motivated to, you know, pay out of their own pocket.
Same.
To participate. And the same goes for me as well.
Yeah, same. I think the same. I don't really want to go to Europe. Like, Europe's on like the bottom of my travel kind of thing, you know, travel plans, because I don't drink much, and like from what I can understand, if you don't drink, like, you're not going to really enjoy Europe very much. That's my personal opinion. But America is sort of okay, but it's a little similar to that. Yeah, but with Japan, like, I just love the culture. I love everything about it. So like, that's where I would like to go for my holidays if I had the option. Apart from that, it's just to see family, which is like my home state in Perth. So like, I mean, yeah, Japan was like a pretty big, like, and I think there was 1 year where it wasn't in Japan, right? Like in the previous year, like, wasn't it in America or something?
Yeah, if I hear America, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I hope they never do America again. To be fair, I don't think it's a controversial opinion. Yeah. But yeah, I think a lot of people, like, they weren't going there because they're like, oh, the EV is so high. But speaking of which, like, the Japanese format for Worlds is BO3, and it's like a conquest format with like 2 decks, and you have to win with both decks. Hopefully they do that for next year. I think the players were very vocal about that, so I think that's feedback that Bushi has heard already.
Yeah.
So we'll find out when they announce it in like a couple of months' time, because I think Worlds for this year isn't until like middle of 2025 or something.
Yeah, should be early 2025, right?
I think they announced the longest season, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But either way, like, I'm not too concerned about it right now, because I don't even know if like I'm not even that confident that like I'll make Worlds again. It's pretty difficult to get in.
It is.
Because like, given the BO1 format especially, like, I think, you know, it's not just about having skill or like the right deck, it's also about getting the right amount of luck in the day.
Yeah.
And like, I do think there's a lot of like good players in Australia as well. So like, what is like, you know, how could you like, you know, say I'm so much better than like these other good players, so like I would confidently like make Worlds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not that cocky anymore. Maybe it's part of maturing though. I used to be very cocky and possibly arrogant.
Yeah, I think I think you really do have to be delusional if you're going into like a BO1 tournament thinking that you could just win, considering like that there's these deck archetypes that are supported, like Hero Sword and Ramp Dragon, where if they just see perfect curve, it doesn't really matter what you do, you've just lost, right?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe for the last topic for the day, what about the BP04 Release event? So did you attend many of these?
Yeah, I think I attended three events.
Mm-hmm.
3. You're talking about the Open 8 release, right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And how many did you win?
I won one.
Okay.
I won one, and I got second in the other 2.
Mm-hmm.
How about yourself?
I think I played 4 so far. I won my first one. So like, the first one I went to, they like mix like the box. They mix the packs inside the box, and so like, I think in the first one, the guy that shared the box with me, he got an Ultimate Europa or something, I think, and like that paid for his box, his entry, right? And then conversely, I got all the legends. So like, I built the most cracked deck. It was like to the point where like, if I didn't win the event, I would just be like, how did I lose the event type of deal? Like, I drafted like Israfil, and I drafted like all the bomb like silver and bronze cards, and I was like, there's no shot I'm losing this. And like in my final round, my opponent actually drafted like the nuts pretty much as well. But
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what happens when like stores like mix the packs together. It really increases the variance. So some people are just gonna get hell lucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one I won. The second one I played, I got to the finals of that as well. But my opponent top deck Juliet the lethal. I'm like, okay. That's cool. And then like I played another tournament, so I won that one. It's a pretty small one. That one I think I didn't really hit any power cards. Again, it was just carried by bronzes and silvers, which I think are really strong as well, man. And then the last one I played last weekend, I think I came second again. I lost to a top deck Juliet. So I've lost 2 tournaments to Juliet so far, which is extremely frustrating. And we've got 2 more left, so we'll see how that goes. I think I've got 1.
Oh, you still have Open 8 tournaments left?
Yeah, we've got 2 more.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll see how we go with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've been enjoying it. I think the only thing is like the prices are very like different between stores. So like some of them are charging like 50 AUD, some are charging like 60 AUD. And like there's no rhyme or reason behind it. But I think from my understanding, like the only thing Bushiroad is giving to them is like promo packs and the playmat. So like I don't know. I feel like they could do more in relation to this because like $60 is a lot of money, and like yeah, like there's a lot of people who aren't attending because like the value proposition isn't really there for them. So yeah, I think they should probably do something for that. But conversely, like I think they've actually nerfed the pricing for like the future release events. So like I'll probably tend on the BP05 ones, but I'm not decided yet on like BP06 or BP07 because like there's no longer any playmats for those.
Oh really? They've stopped producing playmats for future.
So BP05 will be the last one.
Okay.
And then BP06 and BP07, they're doing like Super Legends of like existing cards. I think BP07 is like a token that you can't get elsewhere. So I'll probably play that one. But BP06 is just Kinsetsu, like a cell.
Yeah.
Like you can pull that from the pack. So it's kind of disappointing to be honest.
Going back to the Open 8, I wanted to ask you, what were your like thoughts on like the Open 8 meta itself? Like, was there any standout cards that you wouldn't see in regular play that you thought were standouts?
Oh baby, Octobishop. That card is so cracked. That card is cracked, dude. Like, if you go first, yeah.
If you don't have Bane,
if you go first and you play that card, you are like literally so far ahead, right? And then like Pollux is broken. Like, I think it's like a 6/6 format. Scaled Berserker. That card is like, oh.
Is that the 6/7?
Yeah,
that gains plus 4/4.
Yeah.
You know, that got me. That was like my MVP. Yeah. I saw that in every game, and I always drafted it.
I had one game, like one run, where like I won this one, but I didn't hit Dragon's Nest. But I got Ether and I got the 5-mana Hayden card. That was really good too. But the guy who I versed in the first tournament, who also drafted the nuts, he drafted the he drafted the Ether, get the I think it's called Caledonian Ball, and then he had like the Dragon's Nest already, so you crack that, and it's instantly like a 3/5 ward and a 7/7 rush with a Sail, I think. Like that is like a ridiculous combo as well, but it's depending on you getting like a legend. Israfil is obviously completely broken in this format.
Yeah.
Like if you draft that, like you're already way ahead of everyone else. I've only drafted it once, which was in the first run.
Oh, in one of our stores, I think we cracked between the whole tournament. We got like I think 4 or 5 evolved Israfils, and no base. No base. No one got any base Israfils. We all just had evolved Israfil.
I think one of the things, like, I don't think the format's properly balanced in that respect, and it really, really sucks when you like hit the base and you don't hit the evolve, or you hit the evolve and you don't hit the base. Like, I don't know what needs to be done there, but like I feel like maybe they should just make it that like your evolve card will match like one of the base cards you pull in the pack or something like that. Because like it feels so bad, man. Like especially like Tennis, like that card is cracked if you get both. It's the one where it's like I think it's like a 6/7, and like when you evolve it, it clears the lowest cost followers in the board. And like most of the time in that format, the lowest cost follower is the only follower on the board. So like you can literally kill like their 5 mana or their 6 mana or whatever with like a single card, and they have to clear it as well. But like I think that's like the only real like main flaw like with the format.
I do have a solution for that. So rather than like playing it in a sealed format, maybe play it in a draft format. And how I would construct it would be, everyone keeps their, when you open your pack, right? Everyone keeps the evolved follower, and you just put that in your pile straight away. And then you start the normal draft normally, like you pick one card, you pass it around and stuff like that. So then you actually have the opportunity to draft the base followers for your Evo deck that you already have.
I mean, I think like a lot of solutions like to the problem are very complex, and like I don't think stores can properly execute it. I think like what I would like to see is like them to take inspiration from other card games. So like one of them, I think you can get like a promo pack of like some of the commons like within the set, and then just literally hot stamp it and say like pre-release. And like this, like the cards gain value. Like if it's like a playable like common card, like the card can be worth like up to 20 USD, right? But like they could like literally do something like every store gets like a bunch of promo packs like for the event, and then like you might have like 5 random like common cards or like commonly played Evos or whatever, and then basically like everyone would open those, and like that would alleviate kind of the issue of like low rolling, right, on like, you know, the playable like staple like open A cards, so like the evolve cards. And like I think that will just increase the power level for everyone in such a way that like you don't feel like you got screwed by the draft or the packs you open. And then also that would like create an incentive for people to actually play the event, because even if you don't win the event, you still get something that's unique specifically to the pre-release, because like it'll have like hot stamp. And so like, and you can also get lucky by pulling like the chase common or rare in like that set, right? And then like that can also be worth money. Then people actually want to come down to it. The only downside to doing that is that like they might send too many of the promo pack, like the promo pack I'm like suggesting, right? And then the stores might sell that like on the market. But even so, I still think it's like better than nothing. Like I do think like they need to consider like, you know, especially the playmats like disappearing after BP04. Like what are the reasons that people actually want to attend? Because I think it's a little bit it's not considering like the fact that $60 is a lot of money, like realistically speaking.
Yeah.
Cool. I think let's just call it here for the first episode of The Last Word. So I think in future editions we'll have your questions as well. So stay tuned for how you can ask Beamer and EveAzn or any of our guests who might join us one day. Various questions that you're interested in. So it can be like meta, or it can be like you know, hypotheticals or thoughts about like, you know, certain situations in the scene. But that's it. Thank you all for watching the first episode of The Last Word. It's Beamer, and join with EveAzn. We'll have our socials in the description. And as always, you can check out SVEmaster.com for all your deck lists, meta tier lists, all of that kind of stuff. We'll see you guys next time.